Having escaped from Winterfell and the likes of Ramsay Bolton, Theon and Sansa are running through the woods being pursued by a hunting squad of Ramsay's men and wild dogs. Just as we thought all hope was lost for our two survivors, Brienne of Tarth and her loyal squire Podrick Payne arrive and save the day. Oh, thank God. Theon is glad Sansa is safe, and so he leaves and returns home to the Iron Islands. There, he finds out his father has died, and he tries to help his sister Yara become the queen of the Iron Islands, where a woman has never ruled. However, Theon and Yara's uncle Euron shows up, even though he was exiled years ago, and is voted to be the new king of the Iron Islands at the Kingsmoot, which is basically like when an MC asks a crowd to get loud for somebody, and it's whoever the crowd is loudest for. Yeah, it's stupid. Whatever. Anyways, Yara and Theon are now scared that their lives are in danger because of their uncle is just super evil, and so they flee, and they take the Ironborn ships and fleet. Now, with Daenerys gone from Meereen, Tyrion is left to do the best job he can to rule. Unfortunately, the uprising is still happening, and everything is in unrest. And so what Tyrion decides to do is he releases Viserys and Rhaegal from the catacombs, and he goes down and does it himself, which I'm shocked he didn't get eaten. It was kind of bananas. And he did it as a way to show a symbol of Dany's power and influence. And last we saw Dany, she was riding on the back of Drogon far from Meereen. And then when she lands, she's actually found by a herd of Dothraki, who then take her to Vaes Dothrak to join the Dosh Khaleen, which is basically like the widows of all the dead Dothraki Khals. Anyways, Jorah and Daario were able to track Dany all the way to Vaes Dothrak. And when Dany gets there, she refuses to become a member of the Dosh Khaleen. So all the Khals gather, and they decide, all right, are we going to kill her or are we going to force her to become a Dosh Khaleen? But Dany has them all in one room at one time, and she burns the whole building down, and they all die. And she walks out unburnt as every Khalasar bows to their one and only Khaleesi. Now, Jorah and Daario help Dany get back now to Meereen with all these Dothraki people as she flies on Drogon, and they come and save Meereen from the fleet of the Masters, who are really trying to just force this uprising on Tyrion. I'm telling you, it was just tough. Dany's able to save the day, and then all of a sudden, Yara and Theon arrive with a fleet of ships and go, hey, we'd like to form an alliance with you. You're our queen. We want to take you to Westeros. And so you know what? Dany agrees, and she begins her trip home to regain the Iron Throne. Now, Cersei's arc in this season is swift but impactful. Ultimately, Cersei and the High Sparrow are very much at odds, so on the day of Cersei's trial, she doesn't show up, while everyone else of any kind of importance goes there, except for the king. Cersei blows up the entire sept with wildfire, killing literally everyone inside, including but not limited to Margaery Tyrell, Loras Tyrell, Mace Tyrell, the High Sparrow, Lancel and Kevan Lannister, and Grand Maester Pycelle. Tommen sees the sept explode from his room in the Red Keep, and then literally walks out his window and falls to his death. Cersei then sits the Iron Throne as the Queen of Westeros. So now let's go take a look back at our buddy Jon Snow, who we left dying in the snow. Davos finds Jon laying dead in the snow and carries his body into a room at Castle Black. Within the room, there are only the people that he can trust, and he sends one of them to the wildling camp outside of Castle Black to get help. Melisandre shows up and can't believe that Jon's actually dead because she saw like a vision of him, and she tries saying the prayer that Thoros of Myr says all the time to resurrect Beric Dondarrion, but it's to no avail. Just as Davos was ready to give up and surrender to the likes of Alistair Thorne, Jon awakes from the dead. Awakens? Awakes? Regardless, Jon wakes up. Davos and Jon walk out and confront Alistair Thorne and the traitors as one, the wildling giant, arrives with a group of wildlings and Tormund Giantsbane. Yeah! Jon then has Alistair Thorne, young Ollie, and the rest of the traitors hanged for trying to murder him, their Lord Commander. And then, as their bodies lay limp and hanging, Jon hands the Lord Commander's furs to his friend Ed and says, I'm not your Lord Commander anymore. My watch has ended. Jon then is met at Castle Black by the sister he never thought he'd see again, Sansa. Sansa and Jon make plans to take back Winterfell for the Stark family, and Sansa sends Brienne to the Riverlands to see if Brynden Rivers, Sansa's uncle, will come with troops to help Jon fight against Ramsay Bolton. Jon and Sansa then travel the north recruiting an army. Jon marches on Winterfell with his brand new army, and the Battle of the Bastards is underway. And I'm telling you, it is the greatest battle ever put on screen. In TV or movie, doesn't matter. The in-depth coverage of this was unreal. You need to watch it. Anyways, it ultimately leads to a Jon Snow victory, Thanks to some last-minute help Sansa got him from the Warriors of the Vale. But in the process, we actually find out that Ramsay had found little Rickon Stark and killed him right before the battle began. As revenge for the way Ramsay treated her, Sansa feeds Ramsay to his wild dogs. Oh, sweet justice. After Jon had retaken Winterfell in the name of the Starks, his army names him a true Stark and the king in the north. Now we take a look at Bran, who's now been training with the Three-Eyed Raven for like 2 years, getting super high off weirwood trees and stuff. And he finds out that Children of the Forest actually made the White Walkers originally because the weirwood tree allows him to see things that happened in the past. He then sees the Night King and his army, and somehow the Night King was able to like grab Bran, even though Bran was just there like in a vision. I don't know, it's confusing. Anywho, the White Walkers then know exactly where Bran is, and they come to the home of the Three-Eyed Raven to kill everyone. But somehow Bran and Meera are able to escape, because Bran warged into Hodor while he was having a vision of Hodor in the past at Winterfell, and he tells Hodor to hold the door. And so, like, young Hodor in the past has a seizure yelling, hold the door, which is then shortened to Hodor, and that's how Hodor got his name. Anyways, Hodor does this dramatically amazing feat by holding this door back with all these zombies pushing after them, and Bran and Meera are able to escape, at least long enough to get into the woods, where eventually they're hunted down by more whites. And all of a sudden, boom, Benjen Stark arrives, and he takes Bran and Meera and starts heading south toward the wall. And he tells Bran that Bran is to become the next Three-Eyed Raven, and that Dragonglass actually kills White Walkers, which is dope. Bran's final vision of the season is one into the past, where he sees his father Ned and Meera's father Howland fighting Sir Arthur Dayne, one of the greatest fighters in the history of Westeros, at the Tower of Joy. They end up winning the fight as Howland stabs Arthur Dayne in the back of the neck, and Ned climbs the tower to find his sister Lyanna giving birth to a baby, who she makes Ned promise he will always protect. Lastly, we left our good friend Arya Stark in Braavos blind, and she is forced to fight the waif in the streets and train with no eyesight as she tries to become a faceless man. She eventually proves herself enough to be granted her eyesight back, but then leaves the House of Black and White as she is still Arya Stark of Mother Effin' Winterfell. As she prepares to make her way back to Westeros, the waif is sent to kill her. She almost gets Arya, but Arya is able to escape because Arya is a feisty one. Arya kind of heals up with the help of Lady Crane and then lures the waif into a small dark cavern beneath the city, where she blows out the only candle in the room so that both her and the waif are blinded by darkness, and she ends up killing the waif. Let's go, Arya! Get it! The final scene of the season, we see Walder Frey at his castle being given food by one of his many daughters, but then BAM! Arya pulls off the face and cuts Walder Frey's throat for killing her mother and brother. Oh my god, boom, get roasted, bro! Arya got you because she's a badass!
The hashtag Dork Podcast.